Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in Internet Shitlords, and I'm here today doing another video about the Invisible College. Probably the last one of this series of videos, anyways, where I was trying to explain what the game is about and what you can do with it. This here is the hardcover. This one's the soft cover, as you can see, and over here's Meatball. She's a little distracted because she heard some cat meowing. So I think there's some tomcat out there or something, but now she's taken to preparing herself, grooming and whatnot. All right. So before I continue, I'll point out that on Sunday, we're going to have Inappropriate Characters, Sunday at 7:30 Central. Be sure not to miss that. We might have a very special guest star. Can't confirm or deny yet, but we might. And either way, we're going to have a lot of fun, so be sure to check that out. Second, you can pick up The Invisible College on DTRPG or Amazon. It's available in softcover, hardcover, PDF, and combos. And you can also pick up most of my other products there. And so if you want to support me, check out and buy my books. If you bought all my books or don't want to buy any of my books but still want to support me, I do have a Patreon page. Recently got someone else that signed up to the Patreon, and thank you to everybody who does. But to me, the best way for you, if you're a gamer, to support me is to pick up my products, whether it's my actual books like The Invisible College or my RPG Pundit Presents PDF series, where you can buy 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 out of 108 PDFs for anywhere between 99 cents and $4.99. And it's just a great way to show your support. Okay. And of course, share this video. That's another great way to show your support. Subscribe, hit the like button, and share the video anywhere you think people find this interesting. I don't know if this will piss anyone off, except for just being made by me, period. Pisses people off. But anyways, let's get to it here. What I'm going to talk about today is that basically there's 3 ways of running. There are many different kinds of Invisible College campaigns you could run, but there are 3 basic ways of running an Invisible College adventure and or campaign. And that's where I'm touching on in some of the final chapters. I've been gradually going through the whole book chapter by chapter, so you should check out my previous videos to see what I've talked about earlier, the whole magic system, how to create a hall, all of that stuff. But now we're here at the creature and opponents section. So one of the first ways that you can do an adventure here is to figure out what enemy you want the player characters, who are presumably agents of the Invisible College, to end up confronting. And you can do that in this section. And that's like the most typical way that you would assume so from a standard RPG play. And it's the sort of thing you can do very easily in a one-shot or what have you. So most of the time, your opponents in an Invisible College adventure are likely to be other magicians, right? Working for other groups like the Black Lodge. Now, the different enemy groups have very different styles, mind you. The Black Lodge are control freak ceremonial magicians. The Gormagons are basically anti-magicians. They do magic, but they hate the whole idea of magic as a means for transcendence or power. The Thulians are, of course, Nazis, so that's always nice to go fight some Nazis. Then you have the various chaos magician groups like the Caravan Club or the Typhonians. All of them are kind of crazy. They're a lot less predictable than the other groups. And then the Nemites. The Nemites are the ones that want to turn everyone into bug people, and because they think that's the future evolution and that'll lead to utopia. Utopia means you will become the bug, and you will be happy. There you got some typical animals here. That's just there to fill. And then you can also have non-human opponents like Clipothic demons, right? These are the demons that exist rarely in physical form in the material world, but they can sometimes manifest in the material world. More often, they can possess people and manipulate people into committing acts of grotesque debasement and evil. Ghosts and poltergeists, the living dead, and then constructs like golems or homunculi. All of those can be potentially dangerous things. And then, of course, there's creatures in other planes. You can have adventures on the astral planes, navigating through the spheres of the Tree of Life, or from the aethers of the Enochian world, or in the dream zone, the dream time, of dream magic. And sometimes some of those things spill over into our world and become these unspeakable monstrosities that are the products of nightmares, So there's a random generator here for when you want to create a generic chaotic monstrosity. So that's one way to create an opponent to face your player characters. Another way is if you're playing kind of the campaign. The campaign assumes you're a cell of the Invisible College, and that you are working on missions to protect the interests of the Invisible College in your area, and to confront the actions of the anti-Illuminist groups as they go along. And some people say, well, yeah, but that's how do I do that? Well, in the appendix here, you have adventure seeds. There are 50 different adventure seeds that all give you ideas for topics that could be an Invisible College adventure, and I've run a lot of these. So, wealthy billionaire who thinks the occult is just a game has created a whole fake conspiracy, fooling hundreds of people and risking the involvement of real groups. Cthulhians have infiltrated the particle collider facility to penetrate the Cthulhic realms into the material plane. An astral entity that looks very much like a gray alien was ripped out of the astral plane by a nuclear test coinciding with a Black Lodge ritual. They've been using the entity since 1947 to focus the power on an ominous egregore. You'd know what all those things are if you read the Invisible College, Cronzon Club mages are being possessed by animal spirits to satisfy their bestial urges. So there's these are all kind of occult-themed adventures that can work their way up into a campaign, right? And you've got like 50 of them here, right? So you've got 50 sessions of adventures that you could use here, or inspiration for you to make your own too, right? And that's all good. And now I'm kind of going to skip over this part, but this is also another part of that, which is that there are historical famous members of the Invisible College that get detailed. And in each of these, they have like little elements of what could be adventure seeds. Uh-oh. Here comes Meatball. What are you doing, Meatball? Oh, she's jumping over. Okay. So, you might have an adventure that involves in some way Francis Bacon or Merlin or Christian Rosenkreutz, or, of course, Uncle Al, good old Aleister Crowley. And this can be in a number of ways, because there is time magic, there's the astral plane, there is the Invisible College's the actual Invisible College itself, the Solomon's House, which is where the secret chiefs are, and some of these people were secret chiefs, or became secret chiefs after death, right? Another famous member of the Invisible College here, Ben Franklin. So you can have these people literally appear, or it can be like about pursuing some part of their history, right? Like Arthur Conan Doyle was a member of the Invisible College. So there can certainly be things about his life that let's say you're a big fan of Arthur Conan Doyle, you can incorporate some element of that into the basis of an adventure, something about his legacy, as it were, right? So that's all good stuff. And then finally, there's the kind of epic level campaign. And this is where the Power Clusters appendix comes in. And this is a system where you can basically run an Illuminati level game, I guess you could say, which is to say that you're not just, your guys aren't just street agents. They're in some majorly powerful hall that works on getting power and influence over different organizations, different power clusters in the mundane world. And these power clusters are you're struggling to control these institutions or movements or places or things against other occult groups that want to use these same things to push anti-Illuminism, right? So here's a list of 100 possible power groups. It's not exclusive, right? But that your characters can end up being involved in trying to infiltrate and control and to oppose the infiltration and control of the other groups. And there's a whole mechanic in the game to determine how much relative control your group has versus the other factions that are in that are vying for control over that secret society, or other secret societies that are vying for control over that institution, right? And so part of the game now becomes the player character's actions to try to retain or increase control over whatever movement they have they need to try to keep pushing forward the illumination of society, versus the ones that are using these same institutions to cause anti-Illuminism, to try to bring society back to a new dark age. And you can then play that struggle out with the actual adventures, but also through this mechanic that assigns and determines what the whole process of the secret occult war is looking like in terms of different parts of our mundane society. And so that is an epic level campaign. So that's about it. Here's the character sheets for the Invisible College, one in the sepia tone or whatever, and the other one in pure black and white. And as you can see, there's a lot that you can do with this game. It is, I think, a more exciting and interesting occult modern campaign than most that we've seen so far in recent years. I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo Call of Cthulhu. Obviously, it's a classic, right? There's nothing wrong with Call of Cthulhu, except for recent wokeness. And I'm not going to even poo-poo like Mage the Ascension or something like that, right? Or that sort of thing. But pretty much all RPGs that are like occult modern RPGs have tended to be falling into one of those two aspects. Either it's a clone of Call of Cthulhu in some way, it's an imitation, or it's inspired by, you're fighting against the great old ones, or the tentacle, the large tentacle geezers, or whatever they have to do to not get sued, right? But it's basically the same thing. It's your investigators trying to uncover a Cthulhu type conspiracy of these terrible, unimaginable monsters that want to, rise again or whatever. Or you're modern magicians, right? And you're doing modern magic shit, right? But it's not, and they're, you're modern magicians with make-believe magic, right? In a make-believe magic setting. And it's either a White Wolf type copy, right, of like all these factions struggling against each other, or it's worse. It's something where you're just some weirdo randos or something like Unknown Armies. I think the Invisible College has a totally different take to it, right? Because this is an occult modern RPG that is more focused on the concepts of secret societies and conspiracy and intelligence organizations, right? Again, you could, in theory, choose not to be playing Agents of the Invisible College in your campaign. You could choose to have them be part of MI13, right? Or any of the other intelligence operative groups that are working, for Russian intelligence or British intelligence or American intelligence or Israeli intelligence or whichever. Whose job might be to try to protect your national interests against all the participants in the occult war, right? That's another completely viable possibility with the Invisible College. So, it gives you a totally different take, and I think one that is it's not nihilistic, right? It's not, we're all doomed to be devoured by Cthulhu and his chaos minions. And so what the hell is the point, right? And it's also not it's obviously, it's hard. It's funny to say that a conspiracy type game wouldn't be Machiavellian. I mean, it is Machiavellian in a way, but what it isn't is about everybody is equally bad, and they're all asshole groups that are fighting against each other, which is what you see in most of the White Wolf books like Vampire and Mage, right? None of them are really good guys versus bad guys. They're all just trash, right? Whereas here, what you have, the Invisible College are very much the good guys. They're the ones, and I mean, this is, again, I've said that this is the closest to a political statement I've ever made in an RPG, right? Where that the ones that are championing the values of the liberal Enlightenment, right? And the idea of individual self-realization into a higher level of spiritual consciousness, right? As opposed to sinking into a dark age of superstition, or and even worse, an atheistic nihilism, or submission to a totalitarian regime. All of those things are bad. The Invisible College is good, right? The values, the making of the modern world was a good thing, right? And the values of liberal Western civilization are good, and you can be a champion of those in this game, and that makes it a somewhat more optimistic game, because even if your agents might die, of course, in the occult war, but they're dying for the cause of trying to spiritually liberate humanity, right? The spiritual transcendence of mankind. And that's and they are the good guys, right? So, they know that there's a reason why they should risk dying. Whereas, I mean, if you know that the great old ones are going to devour the universe, what the hell is the point of doing anything, right? Here there is an actual good choice versus an evil choice. And that makes it very different than a lot of occult games nowadays, which tend to be both relativistic and nihilistic. So be sure to check it out. If you like this video, again, please share and whatnot. And I guess that's everything for today. Do check out the Invisible College. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. Currently smoking Dunhill Amber Root Bulldog, plus Cornell and Deal's Old Joe Kratz.